The rain tasted like metal and regret. I stood behind the marble angel, my fingers pressed against cold stone worn smooth by decades of grief, watching the man I was supposed to fear, the man I was supposed to hate, fall apart at my grave. 3 months. That's how long I'd been dead to the world, to him. But let me start where it really began, because nothing about Dante Moretti and me made sense from the first moment our worlds collided, and collide was the only word for it. 6 months earlier, the kitchen of Aurelio's had smelled like burning garlic and my manager's cheap cologne. I'd been elbow-deep in scalding dishwater, my third double shift that week, when Rosa grabbed my arm hard enough to leave marks. "Table 12 needs a server." Gianna called in sick. Her eyes darted toward the dining room, rimmed with something that looked like fear. "VIP section. Don't fuck it up." I'd never worked the floor. I was the girl who scrubbed plates, who kept her head down, who existed in the back where people like me belonged. Invisible, replaceable, poor. My uniform was damp with dishwater, my hair escaping its bun in dark, frizzy tendrils. "Rosa, I don't... Now, Aria, or you're done here." The dining room hit me like a physical wall. Cologne and wine and money. So much money it made the air thick. Crystal chandeliers threw fractured light across tables draped in white linen. I felt every stain on my apron, every crack in my second-hand shoes. Table 12 sat in the back corner, separated from the rest by velvet ropes, and 2 men who looked like they crushed bones for a living. They wore identical black suits, earpieces trailing down their necks, eyes that tracked every movement in the room with mechanical precision. One stepped forward when I approached, his hand rising to stop me. "She's the server." The voice came from behind him, low, dark, textured like smoke over gravel. The guard moved aside, and I saw him. Dante Moretti looked like violence wrapped in expensive fabric. Mid-20s, maybe, with black hair that fell across his forehead in a way that seemed deliberately careless. His suit probably cost more than my yearly rent. Charcoal gray, perfectly tailored to shoulders that spoke of controlled power. But it was his face that made my breath catch. Beautiful in a way that felt dangerous, all sharp angles and a mouth that looked like it had forgotten how to smile years ago. He didn't look up from his phone. 3 more devices sat on the table beside his untouched wine, all vibrating intermittently like electronic heartbeats. "I'll be your server tonight." My voice came out smaller than I intended. "Can I get you?" "McAllen, neat, and tell Aurelio I want to speak with him." Not a request. A command delivered without even glancing my way. I scribbled the order with shaking hands, hyper-aware of the other guard watching me, of the weight of money and danger pressing down on this corner of the room. As I turned to leave, my shoe caught on the carpet edge, one of those worn spots Aurelio refused to fix, and I stumbled forward. The wine glass toppled. Everything slowed down in that horrible way disasters do. The glass tumbled through air, red wine arcing like blood, and I watched it splatter across his suit jacket, his white shirt. The papers spread before him. Time restarted with a crash. "Merda!" One of the guards lunged forward, but Dante raised a hand, just a slight gesture, barely a movement, and the man froze mid-step. The entire restaurant seemed to hold its breath. Someone dropped a fork 3 tables away, and it rang against china like a gunshot. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Red wine dripped from the table edge onto his Italian leather shoes. Shoes that probably cost more than my mother's surgery I'd been saving for. The papers on his table were ruined. Ink bleeding into crimson puddles. "I'm so sorry. God, I'm so sorry." The words tumbled out in a desperate rush. "I'll pay for the dry cleaning. I'll pay for everything. Please, He looked up. His eyes were gray. Not the soft gray of rain clouds, but the gray of winter storms, of steel, of things that didn't bend. They locked onto mine with an intensity that made my knees weak, scanning my face with the precision of someone who made his living, reading people, finding weaknesses, exploiting them. "What's your name?" His voice remained level, almost quiet, but something in it raised every hair on my arms. "Aria Thorne. I'm so sorry, You work in the kitchen." Not a question. A statement. How did he know that? "Yes, sir. I'm sorry. They pulled me to serve because it doesn't matter." I'll cover the damages. I'll work extra shifts. How much do you make here? He pulled a napkin from the table, dabbing wine from his papers with movements so controlled they seemed choreographed. The question caught me off guard. What? Your salary. How much? Heat flooded my face. Around us I could feel other diners watching, whispering. The guards remained motionless, hands near their jackets where I was absolutely certain guns rested. I don't think that's... Answer the question, Arya. The way he said my name, like he was tasting it, testing its weight, sent shivers down my spine. Minimum wage, plus tips when I helped prep the service stations. My throat felt tight. Look, I know I can't afford to replace your suit right away, but I can make payments. He stood. He was taller than I'd expected, 6 feet of coiled muscle and controlled menace. Up close I could smell him, bergamot and cedar, something expensive that probably had a name I couldn't pronounce. A thin scar traced his jawline, barely visible unless you were this close, this trapped in his gravity. Marco. He didn't take his eyes off me. Clear my schedule for the next hour. Boss. One of the guards started. Now. The word cracked through the air like a whip. Marco pulled out his phone, already dialing. Dante reached into his jacket. I flinched, unable to help it, and pulled out a wallet. He extracted bills without counting them, holding them out to me. I stared at the money. $500, maybe more. I can't accept. You're going to. He set the bills on the table between us. For the inconvenience of this evening, and because I don't like being indebted to anyone, even accidentally. But I'm the one who... You'll take the money, Arya. You'll finish your shift, and tomorrow evening at 8, you'll meet me at the Gramercy, Suite 1208. He pulled a card from his pocket, placing it atop the bills. Don't be late. My heart hammered against my ribs. Why would I? Because your mother's surgery is scheduled for 6 weeks from now at St. Vincent's, and her insurance will cover roughly 30% of the costs. His voice remained conversational, almost gentle, which somehow made the words more terrifying. Because you're 3 months behind on rent. Because the loan sharks you borrowed from to cover last month's bills are charging 40% interest, and they're not known for their patience. The room tilted. How do you... I know everything that happens in this city. He finally looked away, gathering his ruined papers, his phones. Everything that matters anyway. 8 o'clock, Arya. We have things to discuss. He moved past me, his guards falling into formation around him like a well-trained unit. I caught the whisper of radio chatter, the glimpse of shoulder holsters beneath expensive suits. Other diners quickly averted their eyes as Dante passed, the crowd parting like water around stone. At the door, he paused, glancing back. And Arya? Don't run. You won't like what happens if you run. Then he was gone, taking all the oxygen in the room with him. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? Every time I closed my eyes, I saw him. Those storm-gray eyes cataloging my fears. That quiet voice unraveling my entire life like he was reading a grocery list. The business card sat on my nightstand, heavy as a death sentence. Dante Moretti. Private consultation. No company name, no logo. Just a phone number embossed in silver that caught the streetlight filtering through my cracked window. My studio apartment felt smaller than usual, the walls pressing in. Water stains bloomed across the ceiling like malignant flowers. Mrs. Chen's television blared through the thin walls. Some late-night drama where everyone screamed their feelings. The radiator clanked and hissed, providing almost no heat against the October chill. I pulled my blanket tighter, my phone clutched in one hand. Don't run. You won't like what happens if you run. What did that mean? Was it a threat? It felt like a threat. Everything about Dante Moretti felt like a threat wrapped in expensive cologne and perfect tailoring. I'd Googled him, of course. My shitty phone took forever to load the results. But when they came through, my blood turned to ice. The articles were careful, dancing around facts like lawyers had scrubbed them clean. Businessman, real estate mogul, philanthropist. But the comment sections told different stories. Whispers of the Moretti family, of territories and tribute, of people who crossed them and disappeared. One forum post claimed Dante had taken over the family business at 22 after his father was assassinated. Another said he'd consolidated 3 rival organizations in a single bloody month. The most recent photo showed him at some charity gala, devastatingly handsome in a tuxedo, a blonde woman on his arm, who looked like she stepped out of a fashion magazine. His smile in the photo never reached his eyes. I'd zoomed in on those eyes, remembering how they'd pinned me in place at Aurelio's, how he'd known things about me, intimate, private things. My mother's surgery, my debts, the loan sharks. How? At 3 a.m., I finally gave up on sleep. I made instant coffee with water, heated in my single working pot, watching the steam rise and disappear. My reflection in the darkened window looked haunted, purple shadows under my eyes, my dark hair a tangled mess. At 23, I already looked worn down, ground up by a city that chewed through people like me without noticing. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. The car will arrive at 7:45. Wear something comfortable. D. My hands shook so badly I nearly dropped the phone. He had my number. Of course he did. He had everything. I haven't decided if I'm coming, I typed back. The response came immediately. Yes, you have. The black SUV that pulled up to my building at 7:43 p.m. looked like it could survive a bombing. Bulletproof glass, tinted windows dark enough to hide anything. The driver who emerged wore the same type of suit as the guards from Aurelio's, perfectly fitted, clearly concealing weapons, an earpiece trailing from his ear. He opened the back door without speaking. I stood on the sidewalk, my breath misting in the cold air, every instinct screaming at me to run, but where would I go? And what had Dante said? I know everything that happens in this city. The interior smelled like leather and something else. Gun oil, maybe. The seats were heated. Classical music played softly from hidden speakers. The door locks engaged with a definitive click that made my stomach drop. We drove through Manhattan as evening settled over the city like a bruise. The driver never spoke, never even glanced at me in the rearview mirror. His attention stayed fixed on the road, on the other cars, checking and rechecking our surroundings with military precision. When we pulled up to the Gramercy, 2 more guards materialized from the shadows. One opened my door while another spoke quietly into his radio. Package arriving. Package. Like I was cargo. The lobby was all marble and gold, the kind of place where my second-hand dress, the nicest thing I owned, looked like a costume. A concierge nodded at the guards, pressing an elevator button without being asked. The elevator itself was private, requiring a key card to access. We rose in silence. My ears popped. The guard who'd accompanied me stood with his hands clasped in front of him, staring at the floor numbers like they held the secrets of the universe. Can you at least tell me what this is about? My voice came out smaller than I intended. He didn't even blink. Suite 1208, miss. The hallway on the 12th floor was empty, hushed, carpeted so thick my footsteps made no sound. Only one door, 1208. The guard knocked twice, paused, knocked once more. The door opened. Dante stood in the threshold, and I hated that my first thought was how beautiful he looked in casual clothes, dark jeans, a black Henley that hugged his chest, his hair slightly damp like he'd just showered. Without the suit, he looked younger, almost approachable, until you saw his eyes. Thank you, Marcus. He dismissed the guard with a gesture. To me, come in, Arya. Every cell in my body screamed danger. But I stepped inside anyway, because what choice did I have? The suite was obscene. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the glittering city, Central Park, a dark expanse in the distance. The furniture looked antique, probably worth more than I'd earn in a lifetime. Papers covered the dining table, documents, photographs, maps. 3 laptops sat open, screens glowing. A decanter of amber liquid caught the lamplight. The door closed behind me with a soft click. We were alone. Drink? He moved to the bar without waiting for an answer. Whiskey or wine, I don't want anything. My purse strap dug into my shoulder. I clutched it like a shield. You said we had things to discuss, so discuss them. A ghost of something, amusement, approval, flickered across his face. He poured himself 2 fingers of whiskey, taking a slow sip while studying me over the rim of the glass. You're more direct than I expected. I'm tired. I worked a double shift. I have another one tomorrow, and I don't have time for whatever game this is. The words came out braver than I felt. You know about my mother, my debts. Fine, you're rich and connected and apparently psychic, but I don't understand what you want from me. He set down his glass with deliberate care. What do you know about Vincent Castellano? The name hit me like cold water. What? Vincent Castellano, your daughter's father. My legs almost gave out. I stumbled to the nearest chair, gripping its back. How do you... That's none of your business. My daughter is none of your business. Everything in this city is my business, Arya, especially when it involves one of my men stealing from me. The world tilted sideways. You're... What? Dante moved closer, each step measured, predatory. Vincent works for me. Or worked, rather. Past tense. 3 months ago, he disappeared, along with $2 million from one of my accounts. No. My head shook involuntarily. No. Vincent is... He's a consultant. He travels for work. He's a thief. And a coward. Dante stopped just inches away, close enough that I could feel heat radiating from his body, smell the bergamot that clung to his skin. He stole from me. He left you pregnant and alone, and now he's in hiding, trying to spend my money before I find him. Tears burned my eyes. I'd known Vincent was lying about something. The late nights, the cash, the way he'd grown paranoid those last few weeks before he vanished. But this? I don't know where he is. My voice cracked. I swear to God, I don't know. He left when I was 6 months pregnant. I haven't heard from him since Lily was born. I believe you. His hand rose. I flinched. But he only tucked a strand of hair behind my ear, his touch surprisingly gentle. You're telling the truth. You have terrible tells, by the way. You bite your lip when you lie. I jerked away from his touch, anger flaring through the fear. Then why am I here? If you believe me, if I can't help you find him, because Vincent will come back for you. His voice dropped lower, almost soft. Men like him always do. They think they're clever, that they can wait until the heat dies down. But he'll get sloppy. He'll try to contact you, or your daughter. And when he does, you'll be waiting. We'll be waiting. The way he said it, we, made something cold slither down my spine. I'm not bait for your trap. No. He returned to his whiskey, taking another slow sip. Your insurance. Protection. A guarantee. Against what? Vincent took from me. That makes you and your daughter my responsibility now. He said it so matter-of-factly, like he was discussing the weather. You'll move into one of my properties. Secure building, armed guards. I'll cover your mother's surgery, clear your debts, provide for your daughter. My laugh came out harsh, broken. In exchange for what? You think I'm stupid enough to believe you're doing this out of kindness? In exchange for your cooperation when Vincent surfaces, and... He paused, something flickering in those gray eyes. And because no child should grow up without a father, even if that father is a piece of shit who deserves what's coming to him. The way he said it, there was something raw there, something personal, a wound he'd covered but never healed. I can't. I stood, my legs unsteady. I can't be part of whatever this is. My daughter, she's 3 months old. She's innocent. I won't put her in danger. She's already in danger. His voice hardened. Vincent stole from the Moretti family. That makes her a target, for my enemies who'll use her as leverage, for Vincent's creditors who'll want their cut, for the police who'll investigate everyone connected to him. I'm offering you protection, Arya. The only real protection you're going to get. By making us prisoners, by keeping you alive. He crossed the room in 3 strides, gripping my shoulders. Not hard enough to hurt, but firm enough that I couldn't pull away. You don't understand what world you've stumbled into. Vincent painted a target on your back the moment he touched you. I'm trying to keep that target from becoming a bullet hole. I looked up into his face, searching for the lie, the manipulation. But all I saw was absolute certainty. And beneath it, something that looked almost like concern. Why do you care? The question came out as a whisper. His jaw tightened. For a long moment, he didn't answer. Then, because I know what it's like to lose everything. And because Vincent Castellano is going to pay for what he took, but you and your daughter don't have to pay with him. His phone buzzed. He released me to check it, his expression darkening. "Marcus will take you home. Think about my offer. You have until tomorrow night." He picked up his whiskey, draining it. "But understand this, Arya, whether you accept my protection or not, Vincent will come for you. The only question is whether you'll have someone standing between you and him when he does." The drive back to my apartment passed in a blur. My mind spun with impossible choices, all of them terrible. When I finally climbed the stairs to my floor, arms aching from carrying Lily in her car seat, my neighbor had watched her. I found something taped to my door. A photograph. It showed me leaving my apartment that morning, Lily bundled in her carrier. The angle was from across the street. Telephoto lens, professional quality. No note, no message, just the image and the promise it carried. We're watching. My hands shook so badly I could barely get my key in the lock. Inside, I called the number on Dante's card. He answered on the first ring. "Yes." My voice barely functioned. "Yes, I'll accept your protection." "Smart girl." A pause. "Pack essentials. The car will be there in an hour. How did you know I'd call tonight?" Silence stretched between us. Then, so quiet I almost missed it. "Because I had that photo delivered, Arya. So you'd understand exactly how much danger you're in, and exactly how far I'll go to protect what's mine." The line went dead. I stood in my tiny apartment, Lily sleeping peacefully in her crib, and realized I'd just made a deal with the devil. The penthouse wasn't a cage, but it felt like one. 23rd floor, corner unit. Windows that stretched from floor to ceiling, offering a view of Manhattan that took my breath away, and reminded me how far I'd have to fall. The furniture was modern and expensive, all clean lines and neutral colors. Lily's nursery had been set up before we arrived, complete with a crib that probably cost more than my old car, shelves stocked with organic baby products I'd only seen in magazines, 2 guards stationed in the hallway, cameras in every corner, bulletproof glass, biometric locks. Prison, I kept thinking. A gilded, beautiful prison. Everything you need is here. Marcus, the guard who'd become my constant shadow, gestured toward the kitchen. Fully stocked. Chef service available if you request it. Building has a gym, pool, private medical facility on the 10th floor. I stood in the living room holding Lily, who'd finally stopped crying after the move. She clutched her stuffed elephant, the only toy I'd insisted on bringing from our old life. "When can I leave?" "Mr. Moretti will discuss the security protocols with you." That's not an answer. Marcus's expression remained neutral, professional. "He'll be here within the hour, Miss Thorne." After he left, I explored my new prison. The master bedroom had a bed the size of my old apartment. The bathroom featured a tub I could practically swim in. Lily's room connected to mine through a door I tested 3 times, making sure it wouldn't lock. I found myself at the windows, forehead pressed against cool glass, watching the city pulse below. From up here, people looked like ants. Insignificant, disposable. Was that how Dante saw the world? The locks beeped. I spun around, my heart hammering. Dante entered like he owned the place, which technically he did. He'd changed since last night, back in his armor of expensive suits. This one was navy, perfectly tailored, making his shoulders look broader. He carried a tablet and a small gift bag. "You didn't eat." Not a question. He glanced at the untouched kitchen. "There's food being delivered in 20 minutes. You'll eat. Hello to you too." I shifted Lily to my other hip. She'd woken up, her big brown eyes, Vincent's eyes, studying this stranger with infant curiosity. Dante's gaze moved to my daughter, and something in his expression softened almost imperceptibly. "May I?" I blinked. "May you what?" "Hold her." Every protective instinct screamed no. But I was in his home, under his protection, or his control, depending on how you looked at it. Refusing seemed dangerous. I transferred Lily carefully. She went easily enough, one tiny hand immediately grabbing at his tie. Dante cradled her with surprising competence, his large hands gentle, supporting her head properly. How old? His voice dropped to that softer register that made my stomach flutter traitorously. 3 months, almost 4. He studied her face with intense focus, like he was memorizing every detail. "She has your mouth, your nose." A pause. His eyes, unfortunately. Don't. The word came out sharper than intended. She's innocent in this. Whatever Vincent did, I know. He returned Lily to me, but not before pressing a surprisingly tender kiss to her forehead. The gesture was so unexpected, so at odds with the dangerous man I'd witnessed at Aurelio's, that I stood frozen. That's why you're both here, safe. He moved to the windows, hands in his pockets, surveying his kingdom. I've taken the liberty of arranging a few things. Your mother's surgery has been moved up. It's scheduled for next week at Mount Sinai. Best cardiac surgeon in the state. All expenses covered. Relief flooded through me so intensely my knees weakened. Thank you. Your debts are cleared. The loan sharks have been informed that you're under my protection. They won't contact you again. The way he said informed, I didn't want to know what that meant. I've also had your belongings moved from your apartment. They're in storage. You'll find new clothes in your closet, things for the baby as well. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through something. There's a private doctor on call 24/7. She's a pediatrician, Harvard-trained. Her number is programmed into your phone. My phone has been replaced. More secure. The old one was easy to trace, easy to hack. He glanced at me. I told you, Arya. I protect what's mine. That phrase again. What's mine? I'm not yours. I kept my voice steady despite my racing heart. We had an agreement. Protection in exchange for cooperation when Vincent surfaces. That doesn't make me your property. He crossed the room in 3 strides, close enough that I could smell bergamot and something darker. Whiskey, maybe. Or danger itself. You're right. You're not my property. His hand rose, fingers trailing along my jaw. I should have pulled away. I didn't. But you are my responsibility, and I take my responsibilities very seriously. This feels like a cage. It's a fortress. His thumb brushed my lower lip, and I hated the way my breath hitched. There's a difference. Cages are for keeping things trapped. Fortresses are for keeping threats out. Can I leave? If I wanted to take Lily for a walk, go to a coffee shop, visit my mother, could I? Silence stretched between us. His hand dropped. Not alone. Not yet. He moved away, creating distance. Vincent has eyes everywhere. Until we locate him, you go nowhere without security. Marcus and his team will accompany you, discreetly. So it is a cage. It's survival. His voice hardened. 3 people connected to Vincent have turned up dead in the past month. One was his former roommate. They found him in the Hudson, concrete blocks tied to his ankles. Another was a woman he dated 2 years ago. They made it look like a robbery, but the torture marks told a different story. The third was his accountant. Car bomb. The room spun. I sank onto the couch, clutching Lily tighter. Oh God. Someone else is looking for Vincent. Someone who wants my money back more than I do, or who wants Vincent dead for other reasons. Dante crouched in front of me, his hands on my knees, his eyes locked on mine. Do you understand now? This isn't about control. It's about keeping you breathing. Lily started fussing, sensing my distress. I rocked her automatically, my mind reeling. Who's killing them? I don't know yet, but I will. He stood, pulling out his phone as it buzzed. Your mother is being moved to a private facility tonight. Round-the-clock security, best care available. She'll be safe. You can't just... She'll be terrified. She doesn't understand any of this. I have people explaining it to her now. She'll be told you're in protective custody due to Vincent's criminal activities. Which is true. He paused, something flickering across his face. She asked if you were safe. I promised her you were. Don't make me a liar, Arya. The food arrived. An elaborate spread from some restaurant I couldn't pronounce. Dante insisted on staying while I ate, working on his tablet while Lily dozed in her bassinet nearby. The domestic scene felt surreal. Wrong. Like we were playing house while danger circled outside. Why do you keep looking at her like that? I asked between bites of pasta that probably cost $50. He didn't pretend not to understand. Like what? Like she matters to you. She's a stranger's child, the daughter of a man who stole from you. His jaw tightened. My father had 4 children. I was the only legitimate one, the only one he acknowledged. The others. He set down his tablet. He kept them hidden. Paid their mothers for silence, pretended they didn't exist. One of my half-brothers died at 16. Overdose. I didn't even know he existed until I found the death certificate in my father's papers. Understanding dawned slowly. That's why you care. About Lily. Every child deserves protection. Family. The words came out rough, scraped raw. Vincent abandoned her. That makes someone else responsible. And right now, that someone is me. Before I could respond, all three of his phones started buzzing simultaneously. Dante's expression transformed, the vulnerability vanishing behind cold, hard focus. What is it? I asked. He was already moving toward the door. Stay here. Don't open the door for anyone except Marcus. Dante, stay here. The command in his voice froze me in place, then softer. Please, Arya, trust me. He was gone before I could argue. The hours that followed were torture. Marcus appeared, stationing himself inside the apartment rather than in the hall, which told me whatever was happening was serious. He wouldn't answer my questions, just kept checking his radio, his weapon, the windows. Lily slept through it all, peaceful and unaware. I paced. Made tea I didn't drink. Checked the locks obsessively. My new phone remained silent, no matter how many times I stared at it. At 2 a.m., the locks finally beeped. Dante entered, and my breath caught. Blood spattered his white shirt. Not much, just a few drops near the collar. His knuckles were bruised, split. But his face remained calm, controlled, as he stripped off his jacket and handed it to Marcus. Burn it, he said quietly. Marcus disappeared. I stood frozen as Dante moved to the bar, pouring himself 3 fingers of whiskey. He downed it in one swallow, then poured another. Are you hurt? My voice came out barely above a whisper. No. That blood isn't mine. He drank again, slower this time. Vincent sent a message. 4 men, armed, to one of my warehouses. They wanted to negotiate, return the money in exchange for amnesty. What happened? His eyes met mine, and I saw something in them that made my blood run cold. Not anger, not rage, just absolute, terrifying calm. I don't negotiate with thieves, especially not thieves who send armed men to make threats. Where are they now? That's not a question you want answered, Arya. But I could read it in the blood on his collar, the bruises on his hands, the way Marcus had said burn it. Those men weren't coming back, weren't going to testify, weren't going to report to Vincent, weren't going to do anything ever again. I should have been horrified, terrified, should have grabbed Lily and run. Instead, I found myself moving toward him, drawn by something I didn't want to examine too closely. Let me see your hands. I'm fine. Let me see them. He allowed me to take his hands, turning them over in the lamplight. The knuckles were definitely split, already swelling. I led him to the kitchen, running cold water, finding a clean towel. You don't have to, he started. Shut up. A ghost of a smile flickered across his face. I cleaned the blood carefully, my hands steadier than they should have been. This close, I could see the exhaustion in his eyes, the tension in his jaw. He'd killed for me tonight, protected me in the most brutal way possible. Thank you, I whispered. His hand caught my wrist, stopping my ministrations. For what? For bringing you into this world? For putting you in danger? For keeping your promise? For keeping us safe? Something shifted in the air between us. That dangerous current that had been building since Aurelio's. His other hand rose, cupping my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone. You should be afraid of me, he said softly. I am. My heart hammered against my ribs. Terrified. Then why are you looking at me like that? Like what? He leaned closer, his breath warm against my lips. Like you want me to kiss you. I should have denied it, should have pulled away, but something about the blood and the danger and the way he'd called me his had broken something inside me. Maybe I do, I breathed. He kissed me like he did everything else, with complete control and devastating precision. His hand slid into my hair, angling my head exactly where he wanted it. The kiss was slow, thorough, acclaiming as much as a caress. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathing hard. This is a mistake, he said against my lips. Probably. I'm not a good man, Arya. I've done things. I know. And I did. I saw it in the blood, in the bruises, in the way his men followed orders without question. But right now, you're the only thing standing between my daughter and whatever's out there. So good or bad doesn't matter. His forehead pressed against mine. You deserve better. Maybe. But better isn't here offering protection. He kissed me again, deeper this time, pulling me against him until I could feel his heartbeat through his ruined shirt. It should have felt wrong. It should have felt like a betrayal of every rational thought I'd ever had. Instead, it felt like the first safe breath I'd taken in months. When Marcus's radio crackled, we broke apart. Dante composed himself instantly. All business again. But his hand lingered on my waist for just a moment longer than necessary. Get some sleep, he said quietly. Tomorrow I'm moving you somewhere more secure. A house outside the city, private estate. More secure than this? After tonight, nowhere in Manhattan is safe enough. His jaw tightened. Vincent knows where you are now, which means he'll try something, and next time I might not get there in time. The thought of leaving the city, of being even more isolated, should have terrified me. But as I looked at Dante, this dangerous, complex man who'd killed for me tonight, I found myself nodding, because he was right. Vincent was coming. And when he did, I wanted Dante Moretti between us. Even if that meant surrendering to whatever this dangerous thing between us was becoming. The estate sat 40 minutes outside the city, hidden behind iron gates and walls covered in security cameras. The house itself was beautiful in a cold, fortress-like way. Stone and steel, floor-to-ceiling windows that were undoubtedly bulletproof, surrounded by manicured grounds that offered no cover for anyone approaching. I counted 6 guards on the perimeter. Probably more I couldn't see. It was my grandfather's, Dante said as we pulled up the circular drive. He'd insisted on driving himself, his hands steady on the wheel of the armored SUV. He built it after the first attempt on his life. Survived 3 more here before dying of a heart attack in the library. Comforting, I muttered, adjusting Lily in her car seat. His mouth quirked. You're safe here, Arya. That's what matters. The next 2 weeks fell into a strange rhythm. Dante came every evening after whatever dark business occupied his days. We'd have dinner, sometimes takeout, sometimes prepared by his chef. He'd hold Lily while I ate, talking to her in Italian, words I didn't understand, but that sounded surprisingly gentle. Then he'd work from the study while I put Lily to bed, and we'd end up on the couch together, talking about nothing and everything, his childhood in this world of violence and loyalty, my dreams of finishing college, becoming a teacher, the life I'd imagined before Vincent, before everything went wrong. He never pushed for more than that kiss in the penthouse, never tried to take advantage of the situation, despite the fact that I was completely dependent on him. If anything, he was careful, maintaining a distance that felt almost painful. But the way he looked at me, like I was something precious, something worth protecting, that never changed. My mother's surgery went perfectly. Dante took me to visit her, the drive requiring 3 security vehicles and enough firepower to invade a small country. She looked better than she had in years, color returning to her cheeks, her breathing easier. He's a good man, she whispered, when Dante stepped out to take a call. Dangerous, maybe, but good. I can see it in how he looks at you. Mama, it's not like that. He's just protecting you? Yes. But also falling for you. She squeezed my hand. And you're falling for him too. I can see it, mija. Be careful. Men like him, they love with the same intensity they do everything else. Completely. Possessively. Her words haunted me as days became weeks. Dante's possessiveness revealed itself in small ways, the way he questioned Marcus extensively about everywhere I'd been, everyone I'd spoken to, how he insisted on approving any visitors before they could enter the estate. The time I'd mentioned wanting to take Lily to the pediatrician in town, and he'd brought the pediatrician to us instead. I'm not trying to control you, he said when I confronted him about it. We were in his study, rain lashing against the windows. I am trying to keep you alive, by monitoring my every move, by being thorough. He stood from his desk, moving around it to face me. Vincent is still out there. Whoever killed his associates is still hunting, and every day you're visible is a day you're vulnerable. I'm suffocating, Dante. The words burst out. I haven't breathed fresh air in weeks. Haven't seen anyone except your guards and staff. Lily needs her mother alive. His voice hardened. You want to take risks with your life? Fine, but I won't let you risk hers. That's not fair. No, it's not. He moved closer, his eyes stormy. Nothing about this situation is fair, Arya. But it's the reality we're living in. I stepped into his space, anger overriding caution. You're living your life, running your empire, doing whatever it is you do. I'm the one trapped here like what? Like you're important to me? His hands gripped my shoulders, like I can't fucking sleep at night because I'm terrified someone will get past my security. Like the thought of anything happening to you or Lily makes me want to burn this entire city down. The confession hung between us, raw and honest. Why? My voice came out barely above a whisper. Why do we matter so much to you? His jaw worked, emotions warring across his face. Then, so quietly, I almost missed it. Because I'm in love with you. The world stopped. You can't be. But even as I said it, I knew it was true. Saw it in every careful touch, every protective gesture, every time he looked at me like I was the only real thing in his violent world. I know. His laugh was bitter. Believe me, I've tried to talk myself out of it. You're Vincent's ex. You're innocent in all this. You deserve someone who doesn't have blood on his hands. His forehead pressed against mine, but I can't stop. Can't stop wanting you, needing you, craving every moment I get to see you with her, pretending we're something normal. Dante, you don't have to say anything. I know this is complicated. I know I'm asking too much, expecting too much. His hand slid up to cup my face. But I need you to understand why I'm so careful, why I can't let you leave, can't let you be exposed, because if something happened to you, his voice cracked. I wouldn't survive it, Arya, and this world would burn with me. I should have been terrified by the intensity, the obsession. Instead, I found myself kissing him, pouring weeks of tension and fear and confused feelings into it. He responded immediately, lifting me onto his desk, scattering papers as he pressed between my legs. Tell me to stop, he growled against my throat. Tell me this is wrong. It is wrong. My hands fisted in his shirt. But I don't care. We barely made it to his bedroom. Clothes hit the floor between desperate kisses. His hands mapped every inch of my skin like he was memorizing me, worshipping me. When he finally pushed inside me, we both groaned, the connection almost overwhelming in its intensity. He made love like he did everything else, with complete focus and devastating precision, learning what made me gasp, what made me arch, adjusting his rhythm until I was begging. When I came apart beneath him, he swallowed my cries with his mouth, following me over the edge moments later. Afterward, we lay tangled together, his hand tracing lazy patterns on my spine. I meant what I said, he murmured. I love you, Arya. Probably loved you from that first moment at Aurelio's, when you spilled wine on me and looked terrified but stood your ground anyway. This is insane. But I was smiling. We barely know each other. I know you bite your lip when you're nervous. That you sing to Lily in Spanish when you think no one's listening. That you're fierce and brave and far stronger than you realize. He kissed my temple. I know you're the first thing I think about when I wake up and the last thing before I sleep. That's enough. My phone buzzed on the nightstand, the secure one Dante had given me. He tensed immediately, reaching for it. The text was from an unknown number. Beautiful house. Beautiful daughter. Shame if something happened to them. Dante was moving before I could process it, grabbing his own phone. Marcus, perimeter check now. Full lockdown protocol. He knows where we are, I whispered, terror flooding through me. Oh God, Lily. She's safe. The nursery is the most secure room in the house, but he was already pulling on clothes, checking his gun. Stay here. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone except me. Dante. He kissed me hard, almost bruising. I will not let him touch you. Do you understand? He'd have to go through me, and I promise you, Arya, that's not going to happen. Then he was gone, and I was alone with my fear. The next hour was hell. I heard shouting, running footsteps, the screech of tires. My phone buzzed repeatedly, Marcus confirming Lily was secure, the guards reporting in, Dante sending brief updates, perimeter clear, no breach, stay put. Finally, the bedroom door opened. Dante stood there, perfectly composed except for the rage burning in his eyes. "He wasn't here," he said flatly. The text was sent from a burner phone, bounced through 3 towers. By the time we triangulated, he was gone. How did he get this number? I don't know, but I'm going to find out. He moved to the window, staring out at his grounds, and then I'm going to end this, permanently. What does that mean? He turned, and the look on his face made my blood run cold. It means I'm done playing defense. I'm going hunting. And when I find Vincent Castellano, he's going to wish he'd never heard your name. The hunt consumed him. Over the next week, Dante was gone more than he was home, returning at odd hours smelling of smoke and violence. His knuckles were perpetually bruised. He lost weight, his face growing harder, more dangerous. But every night, no matter how late, he came to check on Lily. To press a kiss to her forehead, to whisper promises in Italian that he'd keep her safe. And every night he came to me, needing the connection, the reminder that something good existed in his dark world. We made love desperately, clinging to each other like drowning people, finding brief moments of peace in the storm. "I'm close," he told me one night, his head on my chest, my fingers running through his hair. "My people have been tracking his transactions. He's in the city. Somewhere in Queens, probably, using a different name, different face. But he's getting sloppy, making mistakes. When you find him..." I couldn't finish the question. You don't want to know the answer to that, but I did. I'd seen enough, understood enough about Dante's world to know that Vincent wouldn't walk away from this. Wouldn't go to prison. Wouldn't get a trial. He'd simply disappear. Part of me. The part that remembered Vincent's lies, his abandonment, the danger he'd brought to my daughter's life. Didn't feel guilty about that. The call came 3 days later. I was feeding Lily when Dante burst into the nursery, his eyes wild with something between rage and triumph. "We found him. He's at a warehouse in Red Hook, trying to broker a deal with one of my competitors." His hands clenched into fists. "I'm ending this tonight, Aria, and I need to know. Do you want him dead?" The question hung in the air. My daughter cooed softly, unaware that her father's fate was being decided. "I want us safe," I said finally. "Whatever that takes." He nodded, understanding the permission I'd given. He kissed me deeply, desperately. "When I come back, this is over. No more hiding, no more threats. Just us. Promise?" "I swear it." Another kiss, softer. "I love you. I love you too." The words came easily, honestly. Somewhere in the fear and danger, I'd fallen for this complicated, violent, protective man. He left, taking half his security with him. I put Lily to bed, then waited, paced, prayed to a god I wasn't sure existed anymore. At 11 p.m., my phone buzzed. "It's done, coming home." At midnight, I heard the SUV pulling up the drive. I met Dante at the door. He looked exhausted, blood spattered across his shirt, more than last time. But his eyes were clear, peaceful, in a way I hadn't seen before. "It's over?" I asked. "It's over." He pulled me into his arms. "Vincent won't hurt anyone ever again. The money's been recovered. The people hunting him have been dealt with." He pulled back to look at my face. "You're safe now, Aria. Both of you. I promise." I should have asked for details, should have wanted to know exactly what happened in that warehouse. Instead, I just held him, letting relief wash through me. 3 months later, I stood in Oakwood Cemetery, rain soaking through my black coat, watching Dante Moretti fall apart at my grave. The headstone was elegant, white marble, my name carved in graceful script, Aria Castellano Thorne, beloved mother, gone too soon. Fresh flowers lay scattered across the grass, already wilting in the downpour. Dante knelt in the mud, his expensive suit ruined, his shoulders shaking with sobs that tore through the quiet cemetery. No guards flanked him now, no phones buzzed with urgent business. Just a man, broken, grieving at the grave of the woman he loved, the woman he thought he'd lost. 2 weeks earlier. "You need to disappear," Marcus spoke quietly, urgently in the kitchen while Dante was locked in meetings in the city. Lily played on her mat nearby, oblivious to the tension crackling through the air. "What are you talking about?" I set down my coffee, dread pooling in my stomach. "Vincent isn't dead." Marcus's jaw tightened. "The man Dante killed at the warehouse. It was a decoy, someone Vincent paid to take his place. Fed him just enough information to be convincing. Vincent's still out there, and he's planning something big." The room spun. "Does Dante know?" "Not yet, but he will soon. And when he does..." Marcus leaned forward. "Miss Thorne, I've worked for the Moretti family for 15 years. I've seen Dante handle threats, deal with enemies, survive assassination attempts, but I've never seen him like he is with you. The love, yes, but also the obsession, the need to control, to possess, to keep you locked away where nothing can touch you. He's protecting us. He's suffocating you, and it's getting worse." Marcus pulled out a folder, sliding it across the counter. "Vincent contacted me 3 days ago, offered me $2 million to help him get to you and Lily." My blood turned to ice. "And you're telling me this because I turned him down, because despite what you might think, my loyalty is to this family, and you're part of that family now." He tapped the folder. "But Vincent won't stop. He'll keep coming, keep trying, and Dante's response will be to tighten the cage even more. Eventually, you won't be able to breathe at all. What are you suggesting? That you disappear? Fake your death? Take Lily? Start over somewhere Vincent can't find you?" He opened the folder, revealing documents. "New identities, bank accounts, plane tickets. I have contacts who can make this happen. You'd be free, Miss Thorne. Truly free." "And Dante?" Marcus's expression softened with something like pity. "Would grieve. Would probably tear apart half the city looking for whoever killed you, but eventually, he'd move on. And you'd be safe." I stared at the documents, my heart warring with my head. I loved Dante. Loved him with an intensity that terrified me. But Marcus was right. The protection had become possession. The love had become obsession. Just last week, Dante had forbidden me from even going into the garden alone, had installed additional cameras in Lily's nursery, had started sleeping with his gun on the nightstand, jerking awake at every sound. He was drowning in his need to protect me, and he was pulling me under with him. "Why are you helping me?" I whispered. "Because I had a sister once." Marcus's voice roughened. "She fell in love with a man in this life. A good man, like Dante, who loved her fiercely. But that love became a cage. And when she tried to leave, he swallowed hard. She didn't make it out. I won't watch that happen again." I looked at Lily, playing peacefully, unaware that her entire world was about to shatter. How would it work? The car crash was Marcus's idea. Brutal, efficient, final, a curve on a rainy night, a vehicle that burst into flames on impact. Dental records from a Jane Doe who'd died 6 months earlier, a closed casket funeral because the body was too damaged to view. Dante had been in Chicago on business when it happened. I'd watched the security footage later. Marcus had shown me, insisted I see what my death had done to him. The way Dante collapsed when Marcus told him. The animal sound of grief that tore from his throat. How he'd destroyed his hotel room, then locked himself inside for 3 days, refusing food, refusing calls, refusing everything. At the funeral, he'd stood at my graveside for 6 hours. Silent. Unmoving. Rain soaking through his clothes until hypothermia had forced his guards to physically carry him away. And every day since he'd returned, sometimes for hours, sometimes for just a few minutes. But always, he came. Marcus sent me photos, updates. He's not sleeping. Barely eating. The business is suffering because he can't focus. He fired 3 men yesterday for mentioning your name. He sits in Lily's nursery, won't let anyone touch her things, talks to her like she's still there. He's dying, Miss Thorne. Maybe not physically, but everything that made him human is dying with you. Each update was a knife to my heart. But I was free. Lily was safe. We had new names, a small apartment in Portland, a life that was boring and beautiful in hours, except I couldn't stop thinking about him. Couldn't stop seeing his face in my dreams, hearing his voice, remembering how he'd held me like I was the only real thing in his violent world. I'm in love with you. I swear it. Just us. 3 months of freedom, and I'd never felt more trapped, so I came back. Stupid, reckless, dangerous. But I had to see him one more time. Had to know if Marcus was right, if Dante was truly broken beyond repair. The cemetery was empty except for us. Me hidden behind the marble angel, him kneeling at my grave. Rain fell harder, turning the world gray and cold. I'm sorry. His voice cracked, barely audible over the downpour. I'm so fucking sorry, amore mio. I failed you. Failed to keep you safe. Failed to... A sob cut him off. He pulled something from his pocket, a small velvet box. My heart stopped. I was going to propose, he continued, talking to the headstone like I could hear him. That night, when I came back from Chicago, had the ring custom made, princess cut diamond, like you mentioned once when we were watching some stupid movie. You probably don't even remember saying it, but I remembered everything, Arya. Every word, every laugh, every time you smiled at me like I was more than just a monster. He opened the box with shaking hands. Even from here, I could see the ring. Stunning, perfect, exactly what I would have chosen. I was going to do it right. Dinner, candles, get down on one knee like they do in those movies you loved. Ask you to marry me, to be mine forever, to let me spend the rest of my life protecting you and Lily. His shoulders shook harder, but I was too late, too slow. And now you're gone, and I... He broke down completely, pressing his forehead to the muddy ground, his whole body racked with grief. I couldn't watch anymore. My feet moved before my brain could stop them, carrying me out from behind the angel, across the wet grass, toward the man I loved, Dante. He froze. Didn't move. Didn't breathe, like he thought he was hallucinating. Dante, look at me. Slowly, so slowly, he raised his head. And when his eyes met mine, the expression on his face nearly brought me to my knees. Shock, disbelief, hope so desperate it hurt to witness. Arya, a whisper, broken and raw. I'm alive. Tears streamed down my face, mixing with rain. I'm so sorry. I'm alive. He stood on unsteady legs, swaying like a man who'd forgotten how to balance. His hand reached out tentatively, like I might disappear if he moved too fast. When his fingers brushed my cheek, feeling solid flesh instead of ghost, he made a sound between a laugh and a sob. How? Why? The question came out strangled. Vincent. He's still alive. Marcus thought... We thought it would be safer if... The words tumbled over each other. I'm sorry. God, Dante. I'm so sorry. I didn't know it would hurt you like this. I didn't... He kissed me. Desperate. Almost violent. His hands fisting in my hair as he pulled me against him. He tasted like salt and rain and grief. When we finally broke apart, both gasping, his eyes searched my face like he was trying to prove I was real. 3 months, he said hoarsely. 3 months I thought you were dead. 3 months I... His voice broke. I wanted to die, Arya. Every morning I woke up without you. I wanted to... I know, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I pressed my hands to his face, feeling the sharp angles, the stubble, the warmth that meant he was alive and real and here. Marcus showed me the footage. I saw what it did to you, and I couldn't. I had to come back. Where's Lily? Safe. With Marcus's sister in Portland. I came alone. Something dark flickered across his face. Possessiveness, relief, and underneath it all, a rage so cold it made my breath catch. Vincent is still alive, yes. Marcus helped you fake your death to protect us, to give us freedom. Dante, you were the security, the cameras, never letting us out of your sight. Because I love you, the words exploded from him. Because the thought of losing you made me insane. And then I did lose you. And... He pulled back, his hands still gripping my arms. You have no idea what these 3 months have been like. The nightmares, the guilt, I destroyed everything looking for who killed you. Burned down buildings, tortured men for information, turned half the city upside down. And all along, you were alive. I'm sorry. Sorry? His laugh was bitter. You're sorry? You let me believe you were dead, Arya. You let me grieve, let me suffer, let me plan my own death because I couldn't survive in a world without you. And you're sorry? The anger in his voice should have scared me. Instead, I felt relief, because anger meant feeling, meant he wasn't the broken shell Marcus had described. What do you want me to say? My own temper flared. That I should have stayed. Let Vincent find us? Let you lock us in a prettier cage until we suffocated? I was protecting you. You were suffocating me. Cameras everywhere. Guards watching my every move. Not allowed to leave the house without permission. That's not love, Dante. That's possession. Because you're mine, he roared. And there it was. The raw, terrifying truth. You're mine, Arya. Mine to protect. Mine to love. Mine to keep safe from everything in this fucked up world. And yes, maybe I went too far. Maybe I became obsessive. But you don't understand what you mean to me. You and Lily. You're the only good things in my life. The only things that matter. Without you, I'm just a monster. I finished softly. His jaw worked, emotions warring across his face. Finally, quietly, yes. We stood in the rain, staring at each other, everything ugly and honest between us now. I love you, I said. I love you so much it terrifies me. But I can't be your prisoner, Dante. Even a willing one. Even one locked in a golden cage. I need to breathe. Lily needs to grow up with some semblance of normalcy. And Vincent? We deal with him together. Really deal with him this time. No more decoys, no more games. You find him, and we end this. I stepped closer, taking his hands. But after that, things change. Fewer guards. Fewer cameras. Trust that I won't break. That I'm stronger than you think. I can't lose you again. His voice cracked. I can't survive it, Arya. These 3 months. I'm not the same man I was. Something broke inside me when I thought you died. I don't know if it can be fixed. Then let me help fix it. I pressed my forehead to his. Let me in, Dante. Not as something to be protected and possessed, but as an equal. As someone who chose you, chooses you, even knowing exactly who and what you are. His arms wrapped around me, holding so tight I could barely breathe. But this time it felt right, like coming home. Marry me. The words rumbled against my hair. I pulled back to see his face. What? He pulled out the velvet box again, opening it with still shaking hands. The ring caught what little light filtered through the rain clouds, throwing rainbow fractals across the headstone that bore my name. I was going to ask you 3 months ago. I'm asking now. He took my hand, and I felt the tremor in his fingers. I know I'm broken. I know I'm possessive and obsessive and probably not good enough for you. But I love you, Arya Thorne. I love you more than I've ever loved anything in my violent, fucked-up life. And if you'll have me, flaws and all, I swear I'll try to be better, try to give you the freedom you need while still keeping you safe. It won't be perfect, and I'll probably fail sometimes, but yes. The word burst from me before he could finish. Yes, I'll marry you. He slid the ring onto my finger with reverent care, like I was made of glass. Then he kissed me again, softer this time, tasting like promises and second chances. When we finally pulled apart, both soaked to the bone, he pressed his lips to my forehead. We're going after Vincent tomorrow, together this time. His voice had shifted, still dangerous, but no longer broken. And when it's done, when he can't hurt you or Lily ever again, we start over. New house, new security setup. Something you helped design. Something that feels less like a prison. And therapy, I added, for both of us. Because it's not healthy, but it could be. A ghost of his old smile touched his lips. Therapy, fine, if it means keeping you. We walked back to his car together, his arm around my waist, me leaning into his warmth. The headstone remained behind us, a monument to a death that never happened. A grief that nearly destroyed us both. I'm still angry, he said as we drove away from the cemetery. That you let me believe you were dead. I know. And I'm going to have words with Marcus about his role in this. Don't hurt him. He was trying to help. Dante's jaw tightened, but he nodded. For you. Only for you. At a red light, he pulled out his phone, dialing quickly. Get me everything on Vincent Castellano's current location. I want a full team assembled by dawn. And someone bring Lily and Marcus's sister back from Portland. Secure transport. Highest level clearance. He paused, his hand finding mine. We're ending this. Tonight. The hunt took 18 hours. Dante's network had been tracking Vincent's movements for months, waiting for the right moment. With me alive and the element of surprise on our side, Vincent never stood a chance. They found him in a motel outside Atlantic City, counting money and planning his next move. Dante gave me a choice. Stay behind where it was safe, or come witness the end. I chose to witness. I needed to see Vincent one last time. Needed him to know that his abandonment, his betrayal, his threats against our daughter, none of it had broken me. That I'd found something stronger, fiercer, more real than anything we'd ever had. When Dante's men dragged Vincent into the warehouse, he looked smaller than I remembered. Older, harder, desperate. His eyes widened when he saw me. Arya? But the news said, I'm alive. No thanks to you. I stood next to Dante, his hand solid and warm in mine. You stole from him. You abandoned your daughter. You threatened us. For what? Money? I was going to come back for you. Vincent's voice cracked. Once everything settled. Once I had enough. Liar. The word came out cold. You never loved me. Never loved Lily. We were just convenient. Just cover for whatever scheme you were running. Vincent's eyes cut to Dante. And him? You think he's better? He's a killer, Arya. A monster. Whatever he's told you, I know exactly what he is. My voice stayed steady. He's the man who protected us when you ran, who loved our daughter when you abandoned her, who almost died of grief when he thought he'd lost me. I squeezed Dante's hand. He's the man I choose. Every time. Dante stepped forward, his face expressionless. Any last words, Vincent? Vincent spat at his feet. Fuck you. Dante nodded to Marcus, who raised his gun. I looked away before the shot rang out, but I didn't flinch, didn't cry. Just held Dante's hand and felt the weight of 3 months of fear finally lift. It was over. 6 months later, I stood in a different cemetery, this one bright with summer sunshine, flowers blooming everywhere. Lily toddled between the headstones, giggling as Dante chased her carefully, his expensive suit jacket discarded on a bench. My mother sat beside me, healthy and glowing, watching them with a smile. You look happy, mija. I am. And it was true. We'd moved to a new house, still secure, but with windows that opened and a garden Lily could play in. Dante had cut his security detail in half and installed cameras only on the perimeter. We had date nights now, therapy sessions twice a week, moments of normalcy stolen between his business obligations. It wasn't perfect. He still sometimes woke in the night, checking that I was breathing. Still fought his instinct to lock us away from every potential danger, but he was trying, and so was I, learning to trust, to communicate, to build something healthy from the broken pieces we'd started with. Lily squealed as Dante caught her, lifting her high and making her laugh. She called him Dada now, despite no blood between them. He'd legally adopted her last month, giving her his name and his protection and all the fierce love he possessed. Mrs. Moretti, Dante called, grinning. Your daughter is demanding ice cream. Our daughter, I corrected, standing. And she gets that from you. He laughed. A real, genuine laugh that still sometimes surprised me. As I walked toward them, my wedding ring catching the sunlight, Lily reaching for me with chubby hands, I thought about that rainy day in the cemetery. The day I'd come back from the dead, the day we'd both chosen to live. Dante's arm wrapped around my waist, pulling me close. I love you. He murmured against my hair. I love you too. I leaned into him, feeling safe and free in the same breath. Both of you. We walked through the cemetery as a family. Imperfect, complicated, still healing. But together. Always together. And this time, it wasn't a cage. It was a choice.